Okay, I'm going to use my cheerleading voice that my sister taught me so many years ago to project. Although, I think we can all agree that if there were a microphone that embodied Nancy O'Neill, it would be a bedazzled, sparkling, Mardi Gras-esque one. But, okay, first off, let me say thank you for being here, for showing up even in difficult times. Funerals, for me, are really tough because it means that the loss is real. It's unavoidable and it's irreversible. And I can't distract myself. I can't pretend that the surreal situation of my mom's passing is not actually happening. It's happened. And in the case of someone as special as my mom, you can appreciate why I might not be prepared to let her go. But at the same time, I am learning that funerals, including this one, are so important because they give us a chance to embrace our humanity and to remember some really valuable lessons. That in the face of change and instability, we can hold on to each other. That in a productivity-obsessed culture, we can take a moment to rest and reflect. And that in moments when we feel empty or broken, we can allow the love of those around us to flood in and to make us whole. Mom herself was a living embodiment of that kind of reassuring, restorative, soul-nourishing kind of love. As an 18-year-old just about to leave for college and make her an empty nester, I had a sort of a thanks for raising me card for Mom that I made. I had done a collage of photos from when Robin and I were growing up. And in the center, I put the caption, "How do you teach a child how to love?" And at that age, I didn't really know how to put that into words. So I just hoped that the pictures would capture all the things that Mom and Dad did that taught us how to love. But as an adult and a mom myself, I think I have a little bit of a better sense of what may have been at work. So some of you may know that Mom had a patron saint, Therese of Lisieux, I might not be pronouncing that right, but anyway, from France. And she is known as the Little Flower because she came up with a sort of theology that you don't have to do really big things and miracles and grandstanding to show God that you love God. You can do little things consistently, making the choice every day to do little acts of love. And the way that she wrote about that was, Teresa said, well, you can scatter love like rose petals, like flowers at the feet of God. And I think that really that is how my mom chose to show her love. And it kind of came through, as I thought about it, in a few different themes. She infused every day with magic. She coached Robin and me, in particular, for progress but not perfection. She encouraged safe thrills, and she put her love into action. So Mom really did have a way of sprinkling magic into the everyday. I remember that when we would go to the Disco Kroger, which some of you may know, is here, not just any Kroger, it had to be the one by the disco. She made it fun for us. So she got me a little Fisher-Price cart, so I got to shop too. And I helpfully cleared out the entire bottom row of groceries and put it in the cart. And she would reward me for this by giving me a sugar cookie from the Kids Care Club. And she would wink at me to say, like, I know I shouldn't be giving you this, but we're doing this anyway. And that was just one thing that she would do. Another thing that I can't believe she did was she would pack my lunch every day, and every single day in my little brown bag, she would have a little white napkin, and on that napkin, she would draw a big heart and then some sort of encouraging message, like, have a great day, or you're gonna do fine. And every dot was replaced with a heart. And sometimes she would add a little drawing, and on a very special day, she would turn the A of my name into a little girl with a bow on her head and a big smile. And it was that sort of thing, just a little thing, that was a great example of how she chose to show love. Another thing that she did was in my teen and tween years, she kind of transitioned a little bit from the lunch notes to more like a coach. And during what Mom referred to as my, and this is a quote, goth Sarah McLachlan phase, which some of my high school friends can attest is maybe like not totally accurate, but anyway, that was her impression at the time. She helped me strategize this new sophisticated world of cliques, gossip, and boys, and she would plan fun parties to help me win cool friends, and she would sit with me as I studied, and she was studying physical therapy, and we were study buddies, and she would coach me, and she would sometimes be like, you need to go take a nap, or like, here, because of course we had a plinth table in our kitchen, because that's what we do. She would be like, get on the plinth table, I'm gonna like work out your knots, and I'll study my knot getting out, and you can, you know, be my subject. And then at the end of the day, coach and player would hang out together with a bowl of ice cream and talk about how the day had went. And then another way that Mom had a way of showing love was she would, despite her own love of comfort, she would stretch me a little bit. And part of it came from her feminist tendencies, that like, you can do anything. But I remember one time, because she just loves safe thrills. She loved going scuba diving. You know, nothing too crazy, but just a little bit. And so one time when she was picking me up from camp in Tennessee, I remember I just trusted her innately, but looking back, this was really sketchy. She took me to this place that had the world's highest man-made bungee tower. And thankfully we did not go on that, but what we did go on was a zip line that you could be in a hang glider for, and the guy at the bottom of the hang glider had a blast with us going like this, like making our zip line go awfully close to the world's largest man-made bungee tower. But she loved stuff like that, and she didn't want us to be intimidated. She loved that I was the only girl in my camp's mountain biking class. Of course she did, right? But you know, throughout my life, she challenged me to do hard things. And she was there for me if I failed. So when I took an astronomy class in college and I failed the first test, she was like, it's okay, you tried it, your other grades are fine. And then when I failed my first nursing experience and almost got fired, she came up and she was like, you can't quit yet, you have to stick with it. And then other things too, my driving was terrible, and yet she was even worse, but she stuck with me with that. And even in my 40s, when I was like, oh, should I choose a different career? She would say, you should pray about it, and God is going to use you no matter what you do, which I always found very comforting. So no matter what Mom chose to do, she was always doing it with love. And to Mom, love was a verb. It was something she did. It was sewing fluffy Care Bear costumes late into the night so our Halloween dreams could come true. It was the 80s. It was forgiving me and my friends, it was before you guys, when we sat on the roof of her brand new minivan and we shattered the moonroof in a million pieces. She amazingly quick to forgive that. It was teaching me to say hi to people who didn't have homes, because everyone deserves respect and friendliness. It was giving sermons when she would give sermons here for women leadership in the church. And towards the end of her life, she showed me how to give even when it hurt, if it was really important. So one time I had a dream of going to the top of the Peachtree Plaza, which if you've ever been, back in the day, used to spin around and you would get a panoramic view of Atlanta, and I loved that place. And Mom could barely walk, but she did it. She took a long time, but she did it. She got all the way to the Peachtree Plaza, and darn it, we went to the top, and we saw that view, and that meant so much. And when Robin recently had the Nelson side of the family over to her lake house, darn it if Mom didn't ride her little scooter over the lawn down to the water, and then she somehow got herself up the stairs just so she could watch the sunset over the lake with us. And then finally, when it was clear that we were probably in the last week or so, I said to Mom, because I live up in Virginia, I said, Mom, can you just wait until after Mother's Day so we can have one more Mother's Day? And you know what? Mother's Day was on Sunday, and it was on Monday that I got the call, and she waited until I got my flight and I flew down and I got to be with her. And I know that she had to endure some medical stuff to wait for me, but darn it, like she did, and I am so grateful for that. And that's the kind of thing that Mom would do. She would tough it out to do stuff for the fam, and that just meant a whole lot. And that's why, how do you teach a child how to love? You do little acts of love every day. And in Mom's case, I know she is still here with us. And I have full confidence that she is here in this room. I think about in the Gospels how when Jesus came out of the cave, when he had resurrected, people didn't recognize him. His own best friends, his BFFs, did not recognize him. And that makes me think that maybe when we all pass, we shouldn't try to look for what we think people will look like, because it will probably be there in a way that we can't even imagine. And so I just have faith that somehow, some way, Mom is with us, and she's going to be with us forever. And it makes me think of a final quote from Saint Therese. What Saint Therese said about dying was, she said, because she had tuberculosis, and so she knew it was coming, but she said, I am not dying. I am entering into life. How unhappy I shall be in heaven if I cannot do little favors for those whom I love. If God answers my requests, my heaven will be spent on earth up until the end of the world. Yes, I want to spend my heaven in doing good on earth. And while Mom is doing good for us, we can honor her spirit by trusting in God, loving each other, and scattering kindness like flower petals on this earth until we see Mom again.
Beautiful.